Well, hello everyone, and welcome in to Saturday night Six Screens live program. This is JW World News, and we are on the Six Screens Telenetwork, and we're so glad that you're coming in tonight. We have a whole lot of people coming in on the telephone line. We call that our radio telephone line. We got a lot of people coming on the different platforms that we're on. We're on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, a number of platforms, and we're glad that we can do this every Saturday night, and our audience is growing. So that's a good thing, isn't it? Well, anyways, my name's Rick Ferrin, and I am coming to you from the apostate capital of the world, right up here in Boston, Massachusetts. And boy, I will tell you, there's more and more apostates getting out of the organization here in New England. I'll tell you, but they're coming to a place where you are. You're probably saying, Rick, I wish I had some apostates like you do up there in Boston, but they're coming your way. Don't you worry. Right now, the Watchtower is hemorrhaging. They have got so many people leaving that organization. People are waking up. They are smelling the coffee. Boy, I'll tell you, did you have a good week? Did my audience have a good week? I love my audience. You know, we have a very smart audience. This is a smart community. I mean, really, I don't know if you a member of the Six Screens Facebook group. But boy, I'll tell you what, some of the posts I see in there, we've got a lot of intelligent people that listen into the Six Screens every Saturday night. And the people who call in with their questions and their comments, come on, folks, let's give them all credit. I give them all a high five on that one. The people who call in, they make the program. I mean, this could just be another mundane, ordinary Jehovah's Witness program, but it's not. This program has people call in from all over the world, and they speak up and they talk about their trek in one of the most dangerous, destructive cults on the planet, the Jehovah's Witnesses. Well, a lot of things have happened this week. I'll tell you, I'm having a hard time wrapping my head around everything. I cannot recognize my own religion anymore. Yeah, you're probably saying the same thing. I really can't recognize it. It's not the same religion. So something happened. There've been way too many changes lately. Well, you've been noticing them. I sit in bed at night and I think, I try to come up with ideas. Well, what is going on with this organization? What is the governing body? What is the governing body up to? Well, we know last week we talked about it, that they made the announcement that publishers no longer have to report field service time. You all know that. That's yesterday news, right? But I'm wondering, I got thinking this week, is this some type of a smoke screen? Is this a smoke screen for events happening behind the scenes? I mean, you know, governing body doesn't send me, Kim and Mikey, John Cedars, or anybody information. We kind of have to be like the CIA. We got to extract intelligence from different sources. But I'm beginning to think that this idea of not having the publishers reporting time, I'm beginning to see this might be some type of a smoke screen. And I'll explain. See, right now the governing body is really scrambling. They really, really are. They're like a bunch of hornets in a bee's nest that's just been hit with a broom. They're scrambling all over the place. And right now, the governing body realizes they're going to have to change. They're going to have to do something because they're going to die. Yeah, let me rephrase that for you. Right now, they're on life support. There's no doubt about it. This organization is going to have to do something, and they're going to have to do it to keep people in this cult. And they've done it in the past, and they're going to have to do it in the very near future. See, there's so many people leaving, as we all know right now. And one of the things that really caused the mass exodus, as the Jehovah's Witness organization is experiencing, one of the things that caused the mass exodus was the lockdowns during COVID. No question about it. A lot of them had extra time to research the Watchtower. A lot of them, you know, they didn't have to run to meetings. They didn't have to go out and service. They spent a lot of time at home. And they were researching, and a lot of them found out what the Jehovah's Witness organization is. It's a dangerous and a very destructive cult. So my head's spinning. My head's still spinning this week, trying to reconcile the October broadcast and the annual meeting. I'm really seeing why that is so conflicting. And I'll explain it to you. We explained it a little bit last week. But the reason why I'm confused is the October broadcasts and the annual meeting are not really gelling. It seems like they're speaking out of both sides of their mouth. Last week on the Six Screens, we played a video of a judgment message that's going to be delivered by the Jehovah's Witnesses. They're getting ramped up. They're getting trained to go out with a special judgment message in the coming weeks. And it's a judgment message that really is telling people that they better become Jehovah's Witnesses. They better start changing their lifestyle and become one of Jehovah's Witnesses, or they're going to die. I mean, they got to hit the public point blank on this. Now, I know there's been a lot of confusion on this thought. It's been all over Reddit. It's been all over the forums online. But let me just give you my idea of what's happening here. I'm trying to decipher what the governing body is even trying to do. So they have this judgment message that's live streaming right now on JW World News, on the jw.org site. If you get in there and you punch in broadcast for October, you'll see what I'm talking about. And it shows a young man. We played the video clip last week. We're not going to play it now. But it shows a young Jehovah's Witness, probably about 25 years old. And he's sitting in a bench with his car, sitting at a bench with his cart in front of him with the JW.org logo. And he doesn't want to deliver this judgment message. He's afraid. He's afraid that someone's going to retaliate. You know, if you go out and start telling the world that they're all going to die, and your family's going to die, your babies are going to die, I mean, you might have to face some retribution for that. You might have some people pretty angry over that message and kind of want to beat you up. It's happened in the past with the witnesses, believe me. So this young man in the broadcast, he doesn't want to deliver this new judgment message, this hailstone message, they're calling it. So he puts his jacket over the jw.org sign. That's what he does. And he's embarrassed to even be there sitting in the train station with his cart. So then an older brother comes along and sits next to him and starts talking to him about the message. And he says to the younger brother, "Are you afraid to deliver this message?" He says, "Yes, I am." He says, "I'm afraid that people are going to retaliate." So the brother kind of soothes his feelings a little bit. And the young man now gets fired up because he had talked to the older brother. So he wanted to go forward with the message. So the point I'm trying to make, let me just cut to the chase here. The point I'm trying to make is there is a message coming to the world by Jehovah's Witnesses, according to this live stream. It wasn't live streaming, it was on a video. They're streaming for the month of October. But now, here's why I'm getting confused. On the other hand, the governing body met last Saturday and they had their annual meeting. And now, on the other hand, they're now telling the publishers that they don't have to report time. And it seems like this is a mixed message. Here they are trying to fire people up to go out and preach the hailstone message on their website. But yet at the annual meeting, they're telling the publishers they don't have to report time anymore. I mean, that's a little bit misleading, right? It doesn't make any sense. But I come up with some thoughts. I really come up with some thoughts on this, and we'll entertain your thoughts in a little bit here. So you hang on, whoever's calling in, and we'll entertain your thoughts. But I believe there's a couple of reasons. The main, I'm looking at some reasons why the mixed message, or well, what message is the Watchtower really trying to send out lately? And well, why did they stop reporting time? We're going to ask the audience that when I'm done with my little narrative here. But you know, I'm thinking in terms of why they stop reporting time has to do with a liability. I don't know if you've been following what's going on in New Zealand, and we'll get to that story after this. But in New Zealand, they're being investigated for child sex abuse, just like they were in Australia. And the New Zealand government is really grilling the witnesses. And one of the things that they're trying to do in New Zealand, and we'll get to the story after, but I'll just kind of spill the beans here a little bit for you. In New Zealand, the authorities are saying that, if it's a church sponsored event, then if a person gets molested, a young kid gets molested, then it's on them. It's the Watchtower's fault. But the Watchtower is trying to come back and tell the New Zealand authorities that they don't have church-sponsored events. But when you stop and think about it, isn't a child who is baptized and goes out in service and reports time to the organization, wouldn't you say that that is a church-sponsored event? I would say it. I believe most of my audience would say it as well. So that person, that young person, would actually be a member. That would be a member, right? And you stop and think about it. So there not only is a church-sponsored event going on, but they would be a member of the organization. So where they're being grilled all around the world for child sex abuse, they're trying to do everything they can legally to step aside from this idea that, these children are being molested at church events. It's just a family thing. It happens all the time, is what they're trying to report to the public and to the authorities. But no, service is a church-sponsored event. You're actually really a member. There's no way around it. You're really a member when you go out in service. So I believe that's what they're trying to do, is to get children, as well as the publishers. But just if they just thought, well, we'll just have children not report time any longer, then it'll be too easy to figure out what's going on. So it seems to me, it's just my opinion. It's just my opinion. I think that is one of the reasons why the Watchtower did away with time. They don't want it to appear like it's some type of a sponsored event by the Watchtower. Now, this is not the first time that the Watchtower has had to deal with issues like this. They've dealt with issues like this in the past. If you remember back around 1995, 1996, do you remember Jimmy Swaggart? Well, if you can remember, I'll just kind of fill you in briefly, but Jimmy Swaggart, he was a television evangelist, and he would come on and he would have a program weekly, and he would sell his literature on the program. And the state of California said, look, you're selling literature, you owe us sales tax. And it was a big lawsuit against Jimmy Swaggart. So the Watchtower got wind of this, because they have publishers all over the country. You're going door to door, selling magazines and collecting money for them. So that would be subject to sales tax, according to. I'm going to ask you 239 to please mute yourself. If you come on one more time, I'm going to block you. So mute yourself. I don't want to have you come on. I'm trying to talk. So if you come on one more time, 239, I'm going to mute. I'm going to X you out of here. All right. So anyways, getting back to Jimmy Swaggart. So the lawsuit had to deal with sales tax. And so the Watchtower became friends of the court with Jimmy Swaggart and his attorneys, because they wanted Jimmy to win the lawsuit. Because the thing is, the Watchtower would now be on the hook for millions of dollars in sales tax money. So to make a long story short, well, what happened is Jimmy Swaggart caused the Watchtower to change the way how they collected money when they actually put a book in the publisher's hands. Remember, we used to say, well, we got the Revelation book here, and for a contribution of $1, you can have it. Well, we could no longer say contribution. In 1996, the Watchtower, I can remember the meeting I was at when the Watchtower said it, that we no longer will be collecting contributions. It will now be a donation. Do you remember that? Well, they did that in view of, they thought it was a way around collecting sales tax, which it was. If a person was contributing, it was like they were paying for it. But the Watchtower figured out through their super sharp lawyers, if you just change the word from contribution to donation, well, it's like a gift. You're giving the Watchtower a gift. But anyways, the reason why I bring that up is they have been involved in decisions that they had to make, and they had to make changes. And that's what I think the Watchtower is doing right now because of legal issues. That's why they dropped the idea of reporting time for publishers. And then, of course, we include young children. So I think that's what it's all about. And I believe that's why they dropped it. That's my own opinion. But, I'd be willing to listen to what you would think. Is there anybody out listening to this program right now? Is there anybody that would like to comment on why?
Mr.
Yes, go ahead. You're with us. Go ahead.
Mr. Barron?
Yes.
Hi, this is Stephen.
Yes,
they say great minds think alike, and I was thinking about that same situation when you talked about the Jimmy Swaggart. If you remember that, Watchtower overnight flipped on a dime and started saying to everybody through all the every program, every Thursday night program, they would reiterate how we don't sell the literature. If a person wants to give us a donation, we'll take it, but we don't sell the literature. They started that on a dime. And the point that I'm making is Watchtower moved awfully fast on this whole thing about not counting time, just check the box. And I was thinking to myself, I wonder why they didn't wait till the beginning of the service year. Why was it almost immediately? I think November, so next month. So yeah, there's definitely a reason why they changed that particular policy or procedure so quickly. Yeah, and normally it has to do with money or it has to do with legislation of some kind. So I don't know if it'll ever come out, but I guarantee you, just based on the fact that they moved so quickly to do that when they could have just waited for the next service year, they could have just said, for the 2024 service year, we will no longer blah, 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 just check the box. But no, they want to start this thing within a month. So there's a reason. And they may not ever tell us, but we're not stupid. We know that they only do things when it involves money, or when it involves some kind of legislation. Thank you.
Oh, Stephen, you're right on the ball, buddy, really. I've been tracking this, and I've been hearing some pretty lame excuses. But the lamest excuse I heard this week in the world of the witnesses on why, this is Jehovah's Witnesses saying it now, on why they changed it, was the governing body wants them to save on gas money. That is a lame excuse. But you got all kinds of things.
Very lame.
Jeez, they're not going to. There's some reason, and it's going to be. It's very lame. There's some reason why they stopped counting time, and it's got to be a legal thing. Got to be a legal thing.
Yeah.
Thank you, Stephen.
Exactly.
All right, 239. You ready? Come on, say hello, 239.
Here's some thoughts. It has to do with the popularity contest. For example, whenever a circuit overseer decides to come over and visit the congregation, the elders would often command people to auxiliary pioneering, and some already regular pioneering. It has to do with the fact that people are always wanting to clamor and follow the circuit overseer, wanting to work with them out in field service, but only end up in disappointment. That's one of my thoughts. And another reason to abolish the circuit overseer arrangement for good. Popularity issues is the thing.
Yeah, well, you got some thoughts there. We appreciate it, Guy. We thank you for calling in. Thank you very much. And okay, if someone wants to speak up, go ahead. You're on with it. Go to *6, just hit it, and you can call into the program and let us know what your thoughts are. 831 California, you're on with us. I think that's Anne Marie. Yes.
Hi, thank you, Rick. What Guy was referring to, I do remember there was a sister or somebody who commented on one of the JW World News way before they did this time thing. She said, or he said, that there was something about the time slips that were all put in. It had to do with revenue, it had to do with money, it had to do with getting tax breaks or something. It had something to do with being a quote-unquote employee that they were funding. I wish I could remember the comment, but I do remember somebody saying that those time slips that we were all pushed, and make sure you get your time, make sure you fill out your time slips. Don't forget, it's the end of the month. Remember that? Push, push, push. And this person that commented said something to the effect that those time slips were all turned into some kind of government thing to where it benefited Watchtower in the sense of being like we were all employees. And I have a funny feeling putting it all together, just the way they went from getting money for publications, now all of a sudden, oh, we got new light. We're going to give literature for free. Just ask for a donation. And then they started having demonstrations at the Kingdom Hall on the platform, on the stage, of how we can encourage people to give donations. I think that it was to benefit them, and so they wouldn't get in trouble. Maybe they were close to getting caught. Like Guy said, why didn't they wait for the service year, the beginning of the service year? Or maybe it was Stephen, I don't know. But it's something to benefit or to protect Watchtower. And if I may comment on the gentleman in the video who didn't want to say anything about, well, you're going to die if you don't become a Jehovah's Witness. The thing that blew me away are two things. One, where is the government, where is the governing body taking the lead in front of the whole rank and file? Where are they taking the lead to show them? Are they coming out of their fancy digs to go and do it? No, they're not. So the thing that got me with this gentleman, this about 25, like you said, is the way they made him so sexless. He looks and is dressed like an old sexless man, wearing glasses that were popular in the early 60s, late 50s, wearing that old man sweater, hanging his head like he has no testosterone. That was really sad. It's just sad thing all the way around, my brother. Thank you, Rick.
Well, Emery, thank you. I kind of noticed the same thing. I didn't want to say it, but that's a good word, sexless. Yeah, he looked like an old man. He's probably 25 years old. I'll tell you, it's strange. Okay, let's go to 978. It looks like Dick Boogie's on with us. Go ahead, Dick.
Yeah, everything right.
Yes.
Yeah, it was kind of laughable that one of the reasons that the Watchtower might give for not reporting your time was to say, yeah, but I thought, well, matter of fact, there's something more ridiculous than that. The Watchtower governing body member joined the United Nations after the Watchtower said over 4,000 times in print that it was the Catholic kingdom of God, it was the horrors, the harlot, it was horrible. And they gave an excuse for joining so they could get a library card so they could find out information that only the United Nations library would have. I think that was more ridiculous than the gasoline thing. And another thing I just wanted to say on that video that we saw last week about the young brother throwing the jacket over the JW.org sign. I would be embarrassed to be telling people that Armageddon is on its, we're in the last seconds of the system of things, and Jehovah's Witnesses have the keys to the kingdom. Because a lot of people still remember 1975 there, and then it never came through. The Watchtower is the false prophet. It's a horrible organization. Boy, I'm glad for Six Screens because it helps a lot of people. Thank you, Rick.
Well, thank you, Dick. Always good to hear from Dick Boogie. Well, I tell you what, I mean, things, don't you listen, I'm just going to say this. There's a lot of critical news coming out about the Watchtower as of late. I'm talking just in the last few months. All of a sudden, everything is accumulating big time when it comes to negative critical news about the Watchtower. Let's just reiterate. How about Tony Morris? He gets the boot a few weeks after the Pennsylvania investigation starts holding abusers accountable. I mean, I'm just throwing some stuff on the table here. I'm just trying to let the audience know that the Watchtower has got some monumental issues they've been faced with in the last few months. So we got Tony Morris getting the boot right after the Pennsylvania investigation. That smells a little fishy, doesn't it? I mean, really, and they were starting to hold accusers accountable. I mean, we talked on the six screens here many times. Was Tony involved? Well, we don't know that. Now, I'm just going to give you some other critical news items that we talked about here on the six screens, and this has all been festering just recently. This isn't old news, friends. This is all recent festering events of news articles that we read about the Watchtower. For example, a baptized active Jehovah's Witness who is about to be arrested shoots himself dead. Yeah, he doesn't want to talk. We learned about that. A man barges into a Kingdom Hall in Germany and kills 7 people. You know, I'm saying the last few months, but let's go with the last year, close to it, right? But all of this stuff is just coming down big on the Watchtower. A person is showing up at a Kingdom Hall in North Carolina and threatens Toni Morris. Well, that was Selena Verlomo, right? I mean, she showed up to threaten Toni Morris at the Kingdom Hall he was going to. And now the Watchtower right now, we're going to read the story coming up here next. In New Zealand, New Zealand has a CSA, child sex abuse investigation going on right as we speak. They just had it this week, and it doesn't look good for the witnesses. We got all this critical news showing up. How about Japan? Geez, we just learned of that in the last couple of months. They're looking into dissolving high control groups like the Jehovah's Witnesses. The country of Japan is fed up. They want nothing to do with Jehovah's Witnesses. They hurt families, they break families apart, they shun, they have sex abuse. We know all of that. So we have all of these countries. We have Norway. Norway is all over the witnesses case. In fact, they pulled the funding. They're losing over $1 million a year because they're not cooperating with the Norwegian government. Belgium, they're upset with the witnesses. Belgium knows all about the sexual child abuse. The United Kingdom, they just had an investigation into the sex abuse in the Watchtower. Denmark, same thing. Friends, this is an ongoing thing. This isn't anything that we're just pulling out of a hat here and making up. This is actually happening. And the Watchtower right now, the tower itself seems to be falling. It's on life support. There's no question about it. You cannot abuse people like the Watchtower has been doing for a century, for over a century. You cannot abuse people for over a century and pretend like it never happened. There will be consequences for your actions, lots of consequences. But see, the Watchtower, they believe they're above the law. They believe that, oh, geez, I can just do whatever we want. We've done it for years. We can get away with it. Not so fast, Watchtower. It's not going to continue to happen. In my opinion, it is it possible? Now, just stop and think of what I'm saying here. This is just my opinion. Is it possible to the Watchtower moving toward becoming a secular religion? All of a sudden, this thought keeps popping up in my mind. Is the Watchtower trying to move forward? Are they trying to become some type of a secular religion and getting away from their militant fundamentalist view? Let me repeat that. Is it possible? And I know there's some people listening here tonight. They're probably on the same boat I'm on here. But I don't know. But I'm thinking, just thinking out loud, that's all. Is it possible the Watchtower is moving toward becoming a secular religion and getting away from being the militant fundamentalist religious cult that they are? I don't know. I think about it. If you have something that is on the verge of collapsing, which in my estimation the Watchtower is really, you'd want to try to save it. So how would you go about doing it? Well, you'd try to become more mainstream. You'd back off from the hardcore issues that the Watchtower makes people be involved with. Well, maybe, just maybe, the next step will be, they just got rid of time reporting. That's going to make it easier for people to become Jehovah's Witnesses. Some people might even go back into the witness world because of they don't have to go out and service and report time anymore. They still have to go out to some degree, but they don't have to report it to anybody, so they can fake it. So I'm just thinking, is the witness world right now, are they backing away from the hardcore policies? Well, let's examine one. Disfellowshipping, disassociation. Well, we know what happens when someone gets disfellowshipped to disassociation. Maybe, I'm just thinking out loud, maybe the Watchtower, maybe what they will do is they will become more like Christians, and they will take a stance of forgiveness, and saying that the sin that they commit is between the individual and God. I mean, that's how Christianity looks at it, right? The sin that you commit in the world of real Christianity, you don't really even have to go and report it to a pastor or anybody. That's between you and God. So the Watchtower realizes, and they love to see the numbers that Christendom gets. I mean, big time numbers. And the Watchtower is losing numbers. So if you want to preserve an organization, maybe you have to start doing away with some of these hardcore policies in the Watchtower. Become more like mainstream Christianity. So I'm just thinking. And if they don't do it, the whole thing that we see as we've come to know the Watchtower could be gone, and it's over. People will just abandon it. So that's just my thoughts on it. I don't know if you guys have the same thoughts, but if you'd like to speak up, you're on with us. Go ahead. We got 213. Then might go to 615. 213 first. Go ahead.
Hey, Rick, you know what I was also thinking, because my sister-in-law, she's been a pioneer for years, and she was saying that this might help people all become pioneers, because they would have to report time. So maybe they're doing this to get everybody to be a pioneer.
Well, that's an idea, John. That's a good idea. I mean, I thought of that too. I mean, because the Watchtower doesn't tell us directly what they're doing, we come up with all kinds of thoughts, but that's a good idea too. Thank you, John. Thank you. All right. Looks like Anne Marie's back with us. Go ahead, Anne Marie.
Oh, thank you, my brother. I can't help but think of Matthew. I don't know if it's the 28th. No, it's not. It's the one where it says, who really is a faithful and discreet slave. They always read verse 45, 46, and 47 and completely ignore verse 38 unless they can find a way to apply it to someone else. And that verse says, however, if that evil slave should ever say to himself, my master is delaying, and should start to beat his fellow slaves. Watchtower governing body, the hierarchy, has been metaphorically beating the rank and file, keeping them in submission. Don't look at this, don't read that, don't talk to whomever. Control, 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 always holding over their head the fear of losing their family and friends, the emotional blackmail. To me, this is a tyrannical pig with a whip. And you know what they say, you can put lipstick on a pig, but it's still a pig.
I'm with you, Marie. Good girl. Good answer. Okay, we have got again. Yeah, well, Dick Boogie's back with us. Go ahead, Dick. Might be Constance. Go ahead.
Thank you, Rick. Just a couple of thoughts here, and I started laughing at Anne Marie, and I forgot what I was going to say. I think you might be right as far as the Watchtower going to start to loosen up some of their tirades. One thing that they started loosening up on, more like Christendom, is the blood transfusions. One time back when I came in the 70s, they took a blood transfusion, automatic discipleship. Then it came up with some cockamamie thing about, dextrose and parts of blood. And, nobody, even a doctor, couldn't figure it out. And then you don't have to tell. So maybe you're right. Maybe that's where they're going to go. So they're going to go try to ease up on the of their former policies. Sure.
Well, appreciate it, Dick. We really, really do. Even on that governing body member, the governing body meeting, annual meeting, let's go with that, last week, I brought up on the program, and evidently this was stated or said, but what I found fascinating here, that annual meeting, it was brought up that if a person even wants to leave the truth right now, if you said, I'm really kind of tired of it right now, I'm gonna, I'm kind of tired of sitting on the fence. I'm gonna leave the organization. The organization is leaving the door open for you if you ever want to come back. It really is something that is quite fascinating. I had to do a little research on it. I'm really even trying to see how they're going to handle something like that. But what's happening is the Watchtower seems to be lightening up a little bit. And even for those that are on the fence, if they want to leave, the Watchtower says, go ahead, leave. But evidently, they're not going to do anything to them. At least what they said at the annual meeting. But it's still, the jury's still out on this. I mean, I don't trust the word the Watchtower says. But they're more or less saying that you can leave, and then you could come back again. And I'm sure what they would do is they would announce this. It would be incorporated into their flock book. It's something that's going to be a little ambiguous, but they'll spell it all out in the flock book. But right now, I mean, I can imagine what that would do. You just think. At times, it almost seems like they're trying to make it as easy as it could be on the witnesses. This hasn't always been the case. But to give you an idea, if this happens that, you can leave and come back again, wouldn't you expect a mass exodus of even elders as they were lost? They would leave. I mean, they're in over their head, many elders. So it's really crazy what the Watchtower is saying. They're making it easier to become one of Jehovah's Witnesses. I mean, kind of like what Christendom does, right? If you, even as harsh at times the Catholic Church might seem, I mean, they are including Christendom according to the Watchtower, but even as harsh as the policies in the Catholic Church are, you can leave, and anytime you want to come back again, you can. You're not going to be excommunicated. But maybe the Watchtower is starting to look at other Christian churches as well. You can leave if you're a Methodist, a Lutheran, you're Presbyterian, you can leave and come back again. So they're starting to drop, they're trying to look at, we always talked about it here in the 6 Screens. They kind of tell you before they tell you, right? They tell you before they tell you. And I think that's what they're doing right now. That they're trying to somehow make it easier for you to be one of Jehovah's Witnesses. So what does that mean? The bottom line is more and more people would come in, more and more people would want to be Jehovah's Witnesses. So the more members would mean more donations. Am I thinking off base here? I mean, the more people, the more witnesses you have, the more donations that you would get, which is really the most important thing to the Jehovah's Witnesses. And time will only tell, but I expect that members who are already inactive or irregular will now want to stay in now that they don't have to report publisher's time. So they'll stay in. And now here's even another thought. I'm going to give you another thought that I thought about as well. So, okay, so the witness world, the Watchtower said, okay, fine. You don't have to report. If you're a publisher, you don't have to report time to us. You don't have to do that. So I'm thinking there's many publishers that will say, oh, that's so great. My goodness, it's wonderful. And, just like in Christendom, they don't have to report time. So they'll say, well, gee, we used to report time, and they would feel guilty. I mean, it's so ingrained in their spiritual commitment to the Watchtower of reporting time that they would feel guilty if they weren't putting the amount of time in they used to put in. But instead, You guessed it, they'll put money in. Yes, their guilt, their guilty feelings. They'll say, well, I didn't get much time in, but I can give them another $100 this month. I mean, that's a possibility too. I'm trying to think of all of these crazy things that the Watchtower is doing here. And when we don't have the exact answers from Watchtower, we can only speculate. What do you think, Anne-Marie?
I think you are a genius. You are a genius, Rick. That rings ding, 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 ding. I think you're absolutely right. They have been manipulated for so many years through guilt, shame, and fear, and it was completely, always, all the time ingrained in us that the core of being a witness of Jehovah was to be out there witnessing. Turn in your time. You can't call yourself a witness of Jehovah unless you're out there witnessing. So if now they're not, completely being whipped into getting in their time, you're so right. They've already been completely programmed by shame and guilt. Less time in the service, more money in the contribution box to ease their shame and guilt. You're a genius, Rick.
Well, Anne-Marie, well, thank you for saying that. And I have to tell you something. I would do that if I was still a witness, and they said, well, Brother Farron, you don't have to report the time like you used to anymore. I would feel a little guilty, and I'd say, well, look at the time that I can now spend in time making more money. I can go to work and spend more time in my job, and I'm making some extra money here. It's only right. It's only fair that I give it to the Watchtower. Yes.
I would totally do the same thing, put the money in because of my guilt and shame. I would be wanting, for Jehovah, I have to give of my valuable things. Jehovah loves a cheerful giver. Oh my God, you're so brilliant, Rick. I'm sorry for interrupting. Thank you.
Well, listen, don't build me up too much. My drug dealer will want more money, Okay. Okay. All right, let's go to 615. You're on with us. You're on with us, 615. Yes, Eric.
Hey, I was going to talk about how I think Watchtower is damned if they do and damned if they don't at this point. Because, like on Reddit, there's a lot of stories where people have already seen the material and the new changes, and they completely did a 180, and the whole family left. The one story, if it's true or not, but I tend not to think that all of them are BS. I like to think that most of them are true, and it just goes into detail of how it was waking them up because they were all thinking, what's the point anymore? They all quit immediately as pioneers, and there's more than one story like that out there. People aren't seeing the reason why they have to put in time if the general people don't have to. And I think it's going to backfire for them. If they got rid of the disfellowshipping arrangement, I don't think the people are going to look at it as, oh, wow, look how nice it is. I think they're going to think about all the crappy things that they've done to their family members for nothing over all the decades. I don't know. It could go both ways. It's going to cause division, though, I think, no matter what they do, no matter what changes they make and try to make it softer. The damage has been done, and I think they're cooked. A turkey that's been in the oven too long.
Well, Eric, you're always a sensible-minded man. And it's always good to hear from you. We really mean that. We love to hear you.
I hope Susan's okay.
Yes, thank you very much. Okay, we got Arizona. We have got Phoenix 602. You're on with us. It looks like Gilbert Gonzalez. Go ahead, Gilbert.
Hey, Rick, how's it going? Hey, Jesse and I, we did a video about this about a week ago. And for over 100 years, if you turned in your time, Watchtower told everybody that you were a minister. And then when somebody in the comment section by the name of Jay reminded us that if you were a young kid and you turned in your time, you could be exempt from military service because that was proof that you're a minister. But as a corporation, Watchtower beat the PMOs. They beat you that. All of you PMOs that are listening, Watchtower fired you. They fired everybody with this stroke of a pen. That Samuel Hurd just said. Not only did he pee on the graves of every Jehovah's Witness that gave in time, and their that doctrine that Watchtower had, where you don't live by faith, but you live by works, the works doctrine. They peed on everybody. But here's the other thing. Instead of disfellowshipping, let's just say 100,000 people, 16-year-old boys, 16-year-old girls, they took away the power of all of the elders, and now they consolidated more and more power into the central location, and they took it away from the local branch. So the only people that are going to be disfellowship are the ones on that list: the missionaries, circuit overseers, regular pioneers. Those are the people that are performing. Everybody else, all you PMOs, you weren't performing, and you got laid off. They laid you off. And it really, to me, just looking at it from like if they say it was a business or corporate standpoint, this is genius. I can get rid of all of the elders, non-performing Jehovah's Witnesses, and not have to have any of the liability, and tell the police officers and tell the lawyers, what are you talking about? These aren't Jehovah's Witnesses. They're just people who watch our broadcast. Who cares? They don't turn time. Only the so they totally limited their exposure by a stroke of this pen. So I mean that's our take on it. And as far as the time is concerned, Rick, I just did a video today, and Justin and I were working on a campaign called "Let's Do It for Ray." So you'll be able to see it if you type in hashtag Let's Do It for Ray, all one word. Let's Do It for Ray on Twitter. You'll actually see the postcard that you can now send to Watchtower, turning your time. And we're gonna do this because we care about Johnny the Bethelite. All those teenagers in the Watchtower slave camps, when they start seeing these postcards of Ray France and all of the apostates turning in their time, they're gonna start talking. And nothing helps people more than a good old gossip and murmuring. Hey, listen, I gotta go because this kid here, I'm babysitting. He's mad, and he doesn't like Rick because I'm talking to you instead of playing with him.
All right. Well, thank you, Gilbert. Thank you very much. Well, I'll tell you what. No, Gilbert's gets some good thoughts there as well. Yeah. There you go. That's Gilbert Gonzalez. My goodness. Well, I'll tell you what. I don't know if you've been up to date with the Watchtower news this week, but something really got me thinking, really in a good way, was the Jehovah's Witness argument being included in the abuse in care inquiry. You say, well, what are you talking about, Rick? I'm talking about New Zealand. I'm talking about New Zealand. The Watchtower right now is being investigated in that country. And what a cockamamie argument the Jehovah's Witnesses actually even come up with. Now, just like in the Australia Royal Commission, the witnesses, of course, were being investigated. They were being investigated for child sex abuse. Well, in New Zealand, it's also spread into that country. And the New Zealand government is really looking at the Jehovah's Witnesses. And I was following the court case this week. As a matter of fact, it was Monday of this week. The Watchtower in New Zealand is claiming to the New Zealand court that's investigating them, they're arguing that the church, the Watchtower, should be exempt from inclusion in the abuse in the child sex abuse case inquiry. So the lawyers for the Watchtower are arguing that no, we should not even have to be here. And I got thinking, well, why can the Watchtower get away with this? What can they say to the court that would make the court believe they shouldn't be there with all the pedophiles that they have? So in the judicial review, the church said, that's what Jehovah's Witnesses said, it was beyond the scope of the inquiry as it did not operate institutions that took children, young persons, or vulnerable adults into care. Let me just explain what's going on. So the Watchtower is saying, look, a lot of abuse in the Jehovah's Witness religion takes place in a family setting. It doesn't necessarily mean that the Jehovah's Witnesses had some type of a sponsored event where this took place. Now, what happens? The Watchtower thinks this can be a scapegoat for them. They think that they can walk out the back door just saying, listen, it happens all over the place. It wasn't happening under a sponsored event by the Watchtower. So what the church council, the Jehovah's Witness lawyers are trying to do, they're trying to draw a line between abuse occurring among members of the church and an opportunity for abuse to be created by the church taking people into formal structures of care. I don't want to overload you with legal information here, But what the court is, at least the witnesses are saying, is, look, these were private settings. We're not involved in that. You know, because a person gets raped or is abused, a young kid in the Watchtower, why are we responsible? It wasn't a church-sponsored event, but the court is not buying that. The court is not buying that it wasn't a church-sponsored event. As a matter of fact, the judge, he was so upset. In fact, the woman, her name was Rebecca Ellis, and she's the judge that's overseeing these hearings. And I loved one of the thoughts that Rebecca, the judge, came up with concerning the Watchtower. As she heard these lawyers give their cockamamie excuses on why they shouldn't be included in this inquiry, the judge said, have you ever heard the word obfuscation? Obfuscation. I'm having a hard time saying it, but obfuscation, I guess is how you pronounce it. Obfuscation. What that is, obfuscation, is the act of making something difficult to understand. That's what the judge accused the Watchtower lawyers of doing it. They were obfuscating, and they were making it very difficult for the court people to understand what they were saying. And it's usually done deliberately. And that's exactly what the judge accused them of doing this obfuscation. And what it was doing is it was really irritating the court in New Zealand. The Watchtower even stooped that low to try to confuse and try to make things obscure and make things ambiguous and hard to understand. So they're in big time trouble. They're in big time trouble in New Zealand. I'm so glad to hear it, because we now have so many other countries that are coming against the witnesses as well. So, you know something too I learned as I was reading the article in the New Zealand paper this week. What the Watchtower was claiming now, in what they did. So you have a young person. I want you to put this in your pipe and smoke it, because it doesn't make any sense to me. So the Watchtower is giving cockamamie excuses, but the judge highlighted some abuses the church, the Watchtower, was involved in, sexual situations the Watchtower really was misbehaving in. And in one case, it was involving a 5 to 6 year old girl, and another involving a 15-year-old girl. And evidently, they had an affair with a Jehovah's Witness elder or Jehovah's Witness man. And Jehovah's Witnesses were treating it as adultery. Can you believe that? So the court did not like that explanation given by the Jehovah's Witness church. If a 5 or 6 year old girl has an affair with an older Jehovah's Witness man, or even any Jehovah's Witness man, is that considered to be adultery? The court in Australia, the judge in particular, is saying that is not true. That's not right. So they're in big time trouble. And so I think it's very, very good. So,
Rick.
Yes. Go ahead.
Hi, Rick. Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, go ahead.
Australia.
Yes,
Just quickly.
Yeah.
I just had a few thoughts on what you're talking about. I could be way off, but obviously witnesses are always trying to avoid lawsuits and, well, what do you call it, liability. When you've got paperwork, you're tied to an organisation. So field service reports, I just wonder, are they looking at the whole thing of witnesses and saying most of our problems and lawsuits are coming from the people that don't report many hours, the ones that are kind of fringe? So they don't care if they cut those people loose, because it kind of plays into the narrative that there's going to be an apostasy, a falling away of the faith within that religion. So you double down the ones that stay there, the super faithful. It's just that if you've got field service reports, if someone takes them to court, they can say, yes, I was a Jehovah's Witness, we filled in these reports. They've got, it's a paper trail, right? So there's that aspect. And also with the whole disassociating thing as well, I would always recommend don't ever send a letter of disassociation to the congregation, because if a lawsuit comes up down the track, again, if you're disassociated, they can say you weren't a witness. Because that's the excuse they're trying to use in a lot of these court cases. Oh, it wasn't witnessed. Oh, we're not responsible. You know what I mean? Anyway, that's just probably a different angle of looking at tying in the field service to their sex abuse claims and all the other legal problems. Thanks, Rick.
Well, Tim, thank you very much. Always good to hear from you. But you know what's really good? And what's really good about having a program like this, where people can call in from all over the world and voice their opinions. It's so enlightening to hear different people's thoughts on things. It's really remarkable. It's quite unique. The Watchtower doesn't share information with us. So what we do is we try to spin it, right? That's what we all try to do. We try to come up with explanations and reasons why the Watchtower is acting so ridiculous. It's hard to really know. I mean, they don't share information with us, so we can only speculate. But I certainly appreciate what the people call in and how they speculate and how they see things. And why can't we give our opinions? We've all been touched by the tentacles of the Watchtower. And why can't we voice our opinions on it? A lot of us have gave a good portion of our life away to these creeps, and we've spent time, our resources, our money, even to the point of many people having divorces in their families and bankruptcy and everything else, so they could adhere to the dictates of the Watchtower. So why can't we come on and at least speculate, at least conjure up ideas? But I mean, as long as it's sensible, because this is a very esoteric organization. It's very secret. They're not going to share things with us. So I think it's fantastic that we can have people come on and voice their opinions on what they think is going on currently in the Watchtower organization. If anyone would like to speak up, it's *6. You'll be on with us. We'd love to have you speak up and say some things. And we got a full program coming up tonight. After this program, we got Fran and Joe. Fran and Joe out of New York.
Hey, I have a question real quick before you got off the time reports. A few weeks ago, they put out a little pamphlet or a time card for little kids to sign up to commit to so many hours.
Junior Pioneer, right? Junior Pioneers.
Yeah. So what's happening with that?
Well, they're going to have to drop that like a lead balloon. That's not going to fly.
So was that a news story like that they only put out a few weeks ago, or was that something a while back?
Well, no, that was just a few weeks ago, but it was kind of done. It wasn't like it wasn't a Watchtower mandate or policy. It was some renegade elders and a number of congregations that were figuring they could play a little game and get the kids to sign up to Pioneer. That's going to go over like a lead. That's going to go over like a lead balloon now, believe me.
Oh, okay. All right, that makes sense now.
All right.
Thanks.
315, you're on with us. 315, come on, you're on with us. Okay.
Hi, Rick. This is Fran.
Oh, well, Fran. Okay, good. Yep, thank you, Fran.
We were just having a little technical problem. Are you able to send us the link?
Oh, right. Yeah. In fact, yeah, I haven't done that yet. Thank you for reminding me. I meant to do that. No, don't have a heart attack on that. No, that was fine. I'll kind of do it. I'll kind of be multitasking. So that's
okay. All right. Well, all right. Thank you.
Thank you, Brent. Yeah, thank you. All right. Well, my goodness, I mean, I got thinking, and we can have a little fun here. We got Fran and Joe. They'll be coming up here next. I just got to get them the link. But I came across some things on Reddit that I found quite fascinating, and we can lighten up a little bit tonight. I found out, well, there was a post on there that got me really thinking. In fact, I think this one was on this one was on JW forum, discussion forum. You might be a Jehovah's Witness if, I want you to think about this. You guys are listening in tonight. You might be a Jehovah's Witness if you just to give you ideas, if you clean windows or homes for a living and own 5 suits, everyone must have a little idea about what they could say here. You might be a Jehovah's Witness if you don't consider a 2-door car really a car. You know, why wouldn't you be able to comment on this? I'd love to have you comment. I'd love to hear what you have to say. So you might be a Jehovah's Witness if you what? But before we go to that, I do believe we have 308. 308, did you want to say something? You're on with us. Go ahead.
Yes, this is Debbie, and you were talking about well, anyway, I was going to say that one of the reasons that they might, oh my goodness, I lost my thought, that in Nebraska, the witnesses have started some kind of a campaign because they're going door to door here and door to door in several other places across Nebraska. And I was thinking that one of the reasons that they might have stopped people turn in their time and everything, and you said maybe they wanted more money, and I was trying to combine the two, that if they go door to door now and they don't worry about reporting it, maybe they are going to go door to door more, and in doing so recruit more people, and then that would equal more money. So it's just a combination of all of it.
Well, Debbie, it's all about money. It's all about money, that's for sure. That's what their whole motive would be. I mean, we know it's not really a true Christian religion. It's a money-making cult. Thank you very much, Debbie. Let's go to 540. 540, we are on
I've had concern for many years about unpaid child labor. So I wonder if maybe they've just made this, check this box if you've talked about your belief. And that way they're not going to be investigated so much for unpaid child labor. And as far as the New Zealand story, I'm so glad the judge saw that for what it was, as criminal child abuse. And again, how many countries do they have? Many, many, many. And I think the people with the judgment in their personality types are going to love giving that judgment message. That's it. That's my prediction.
Well, Pixie, good to hear from you. It's a good prediction. I think you're right. I really think you're right. We'll have to see how this all unfolds. Thank you, Pixie.
Okay.
For calling in. Always good to hear from you. Let's go to 813. 813, you're on with us. Go ahead.
Hey, Rick, Scott.
Yes, Scott.
This is on the lighter side. So does that mean that the angels only have to fill out a report if they watched one person during the month, and they're all set?
Well,
they don't follow everybody around anymore.
Well, in fact, the angels are rejoicing. They're rejoicing in heaven. Their workload has just been made lighter, right?
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
It just got easier for them.
Well, that's good.
Just on the lighter side.
Well, it's good thinking. It's good thinking, Scott. Always good. All right. Well, you're on JW World News with us. My goodness, we talk about the news the Watchtower doesn't want us talking about. So you might be a Jehovah's Witness if you an RV is not a recreational vehicle, right? An RV is a. I'm just reading this. This is off a forum I got online. I like this. You might be a Jehovah's Witness while walking through the door department at Home Depot. You feel compelled to start knocking. And what do you think about that? I mean, anyone have some good ideas out there? You might be a Jehovah's Witness if you guys must have some good thoughts on that. I like this one too. Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead, Dick.
Yeah, you might be Jehovah's Witness if you have 20 white dress shirts in your closet with no other colors.
Yeah, well, that's a good one too, Dick. Yeah, as a matter of fact, I like that. You might be a Jehovah's Witness while on vacation. You first find the Kingdom Hall and then the hotel. Yeah, that's true. Many families do that. They go on vacation, they look for the Kingdom Hall, and find a hotel near that. Yeah, I mean, there's so many things that we could come up with here. And I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to give a gift certificate away. I'm in the mood to give someone a nice gift certificate. If they could come up with a really good, you might be Jehovah's Witness if, and I'll have to be the judge of that. You might be a Jehovah's Witness if you abbreviate CO and it has nothing to do with the word company. Okay, so we have, let's go with 906, Northern Peninsula of Michigan. Go ahead, 906.
You might be a Jehovah's Witness if your house is the only one on the block with no Christmas lights.
Well, that's a good one. That's a good one, too. Let's go to, you're in the running, Dan. You're in the running. Let's go with 760. Go ahead, 760.
Hi, you might be a Jehovah's Witness if you're on double doses of antidepressant drugs, but they're not working. Thank you.
Oh, that's a good one, too. You might be a Jehovah's Witness if you think Pioneer is a stereo. Yeah. It's not a stereo. I'm sorry, not a stereo. You might be you might think of, well, let me put it this way to you. You might, let me just go back here for a second. You might be a Jehovah's Witness if, I got a whole lot of them. Let's scroll down and get one. If you think tract has nothing to do with a piece of land. 615, go ahead, give us you might be a Jehovah's Witness if.
I heard one more. So you might be a Jehovah's Witness. Let's see. If parties you call get together and the household there ends up being left with more food than they know what to do with instead of being wiped out. I don't know. Kind of.
Well,
it was something I wrote in the 90s. I tried to quote it, but see it.
All right, thank you, Eric. Let's go with 714. You might be a Jehovah's Witness if.
Yes, this is actually a true story. Okay, you might be a Jehovah's Witness if you're ordering carpet from Sears and you tell them you only want green carpet because Jehovah made the grass green.
Well, can you elaborate a little bit?
That was my mom. We were going to get new carpet and she cried because she only wanted green carpet because Jehovah made the grass green and she wanted green carpeting so she could always look at it and it reminded her of Jehovah creating the grass green.
Oh, that is strange, sister. That boy, I'll tell you, that's a good one. That's a good one. I mean, people do strange things. Yeah, golly. Well, thank you for giving us that information. We'll take that to heart. Okay. Okay,
that should be in the running, Rick.
Well,
that should be in the running. Like if you're a Jehovah's Witness, you might just order green carpet.
Well, it should be in the running. I really do think it should be in there. You hang on. Well, I think we got you and Daniel so far. We got you and Daniel on the running. So let's go on. Okay. How about 308? You might be a Jehovah's Witness if. What do you think, 308?
If you have scholarship to an Ivy League college, that you give it up, that you can go witness from door to door, or something similar.
All right. Well, no, that's a good one. That's a darn good one. Really, when you stop and think about it, many people have. I mean, you know right off the bat, who gives up Ivy League school scholarships? Jehovah's Witnesses, right? All right.
Yeah, I have one more, Rick.
Yeah.
You might. And things go right through my brain. I'll say that. But
well, I like that. I like that one. I mean, I'm the final judge here. Let's check out 239. You might be a Jehovah's Witness if.
About this, you might be a Jehovah's Witness if ethnic restaurants are considered foreign language fields. Like, for example, eating out in a Brazilian restaurant, you think you get Portuguese speaking communities. If you eat out in a Chinese buffet restaurant, you might get Mandarin Chinese leads. International restaurants means international foreign language leads. That's you might be a Jehovah's Witness.
Oh, well, God, no, I thank you for that. It might be a little too, it might be a little hard for someone to really see that. But no, it's a good thought. But thank you, Guy. Thank you. We have Carol's writing in here on YouTube. You might be a Jehovah's Witness if you knock on the door instead of using the doorbell. Well, yeah, I think many Jehovah's Witnesses. I think there's been many Jehovah's Witnesses do that. Okay, we'll go back and look at some of those too. So let's take a look. Let's go to 312. 312, you back on there with us? 312 7171. Go ahead.
Don't witness if you can't walk past the door without knocking on it.
Well, that's a good one too. That's a good one, Stefan. 904, you're on with us. Go ahead, 904.
You might be a Jehovah's Witness if your church has no windows and you still have an active shooter shoot through the windows.
Well, okay, that's I like some of the answers. All right, 719. You might be a Jehovah's Witness if 904. You might be a Jehovah's Witness if
I've got one.
Go ahead.
You might be a Jehovah's Witness if your pillow is your girlfriend.
Oh,
and you don't feel guilty about it.
I'm gonna put that in running. So far, I like the one with no Christmas lights. Yeah, I like that one. Yes.
Yeah, there's mine. Bye.
That's a good one. Yes, I like that one. Yes, that's a good one. That's yes. Go ahead.
Tim here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just going to say you might be a Jehovah's Witness if you dobbed your neighbour's kids for throwing stones at your window, but when you saw him walking with a young girl down the street, you decided you'd keep your eye on him.
Go ahead. Well, wait a minute. I didn't quite get that one. Go slow with that one. I didn't quite get it. Come back.
I was going to say, sorry, you might be a Jehovah's Witness if you rang the police about your neighbour's kids from throwing stones at your house, but when you saw the dodgy neighbour walking with a young girl, you thought you'll just keep an eye on him.
All right. Okay. Give me the second one.
And the second one would be if Jehovah's actually an organisation, not a name for God.
All right. Well, that's okay. I'm not going to put them running, but it's okay. It's okay. All right. Who's next? Let's go with 614. Go ahead, 614.
I remember my other one, Rick.
Okay, 308. Go ahead.
You might be a Jehovah's Witness if you choose to bleed to death rather than take blood.
Well, that's a good one. That's a very good one. Yeah, I like that one too. Let's try 480.
If you had to wear dress shoes and slacks to school when you were a little kid,
you might be a Jehovah's Witness. All right. Well, that's a good one too. Go ahead. We've got. Let's go to 480. 404.
Yeah, I have one. You might be a Jehovah's Witness if you every time you go to the grocery store, you go to the liquor
aisle. I like that one. I'm going to put that in the running. I'm going to put that one in the writing. I like this one here too. That you might be a Jehovah's Witness if you go on a date with your girlfriend and you have to go with a chaperone. I mean, what we're trying to do here is the world. I'm thinking of people hearing some of this for the first time and say, okay, I got it. So we've got, I like the one, I really do like the one about the pillow. I really do like that. If the pillow is your girlfriend, I really do like that. I think that's, any more we get going? I got a $10 gift certificate here to Dunkin' Donuts. You like the
one for you.
All right, go ahead.
You might be a Jehovah's Witness if you believe you're going to be living under paradise earth and your childhood flame was the cobra.
Yeah.
With the cobra.
Well, that's a good one too. Let me take a look here at YouTube and see what people you might be a Jehovah's Witness if you have all the answers on your webpage. Thank you, AirPie.
Rick, I got one.
Go ahead.
You might be a Jehovah's Witness if you know every coffee shop and diner in a 20-mile radius.
Well, that's a good one too. I like that. I really do. I like the pill of the best though. I really do. Like that was really original. But I like that the coffee shop one too.
You might be a Jehovah's Witness if you know where all the laundromats are, but you're not going there to do your laundry.
Well, that's so. Go ahead. Love to hear it. Go ahead.
Hello.
Go ahead.
You might be a Jehovah's Witness if you give out Bible literature for Halloween instead of candy.
Well, there's actually some witnesses that do that. They give Watchtower magazines out. The kids come to the door expecting a Kit Kat or a Hershey bar, and they get a Watchtower. Boy, what a big disappointment that is. Jeez. All right. Go ahead. We got it. Go ahead. You're on with us. You might be a Jehovah's Witness. Yes. Yeah.
Well, you might be a Jehovah's Witness that you're talking about getting that lunch and class when the rest of the classmates are talking about what's for lunch.
Yeah. Well, that's truly you're right. I mean, you know what happens in school, right? The things we had to say and excuses we had to make. It's unbelievable. But yeah, I tell you what. I mean, there's so many things that really we did being in that cult that was so foolish. 331. You want to say something? Go ahead, 331.
It would be that you could be a Jehovah's Witness if your conscience is hurt by wearing red, white, and blue print.
Well, that's interesting. You bring that up. That's a very good comment because there are some people. I can remember even when I would go and pick out like a tie, for example. You wouldn't pick something out that was red, white, and blue. You wouldn't have any little emblems on the tie that would signify maybe a connection with the nation or nationalism. And women, when they pick out printed blouses, they would be very careful on how they would pick them. Yeah, that's a good thought too. Yeah. We did so many.
Hey, Rick.
Yes.
You might be a Jehovah's Witness if you go to a sport event and they stand up the national anthem and you remain seated.
Well, that's true. I'll tell you, it used to give everybody the willies when they go to a sporting event and they don't know what to do when the national anthem came on. I remember I used to, as a young kid, go to the racetrack. My mother and father would take me to the local speedway, and the national anthem would come on. But my mother would have us all stand up, so it would already be standing. I mean, stupid little things like that. Right? Crazy stuff. Okay, we've got, well, it looks like Thomas, what do you want to say? Thomas Hodgins. I want to hear from Thomas. Go ahead, Thomas. Go ahead. Yeah.
You might be a Jehovah's Witness if somebody says, well, Merry Christmas. They say, thank you.
That's another good point. Yeah, crazy stuff. Huh? Well, I'll tell you what I mean. So I'm gonna kind of award. I'm the final judge here. I have to tell you that. So I mean I thank you all. Okay, go ahead, Anne Marie. Anne Marie, you might be a Jehovah's Witness
if after the funeral of your daughter who bled to death for want of a blood transfusion, you immediately go out in service with a smile to prove how loyal to Jehovah and spiritual you are. Thank you.
Well, that statement has a lot of truth in it. It's unbelievable.
I got one, Rick.
Go ahead. Let's go to JP.
You might be a Jehovah's Witness if you show up to church and you forgot to shave.
Well, that's true too. Yeah, that's true too. Yeah. So okay, we got anonymous. Go ahead. You're on with us, anonymous. You You might be a Jehovah's Witness if. All right. All right. So we'll kind of end it there. If you want one more shot at it, I'm giving away. I'm not going to up it a little bit. I'm going to make it a $15 Dunkin' Donuts certificate. I mean, that'll get you a few cups of coffee, a couple of donuts. I mean, so who would like to give one more last comment? You might be a Jehovah's Witness if you might. Let me take a look here. Let me see if I see something on Facebook I like. Let me just go back because on Facebook and YouTube, you might be a Jehovah's Witness
if you forgot to still turn in your time.
Well, yeah, no, that would be something that they're doing away with. All right. All right. Well, anyways, I'm going to pick the winner. I'm going to go with you might be a Jehovah's Witness if your pillow is your girlfriend. I really like it. So you're the winner.
Canadian protester.
Yes, Canadian protester. Listen, what I want you to do is send me your address. It can be an email address because there's going to be an email card. It'll be a Dunkin' Donuts card, email. So just send me your email address and I'll get that out to you in the next couple of days. Thank you, Canadian protester.
Is your email on the
well, yeah, let me give you the email. I'm sorry. It's jwworldnews@gmail.com. jwworldnews@gmail.com. Yep. You got it?
The only problem is I'm in Canada. I don't know if they have Dunkin' Donuts here.
Well, what would you like? I know they have what do they have up there for donuts? I mean, coffee.
They've got Tim Hortons.
Tim Horton, right? I know that. And if I can't get Tim Horton, I mean, will Burger King be all right?
Burger King's great.
All right.
Okay, so it's jwworldnews@gmail.com. Thank you.
You'll get that off to me. You were the winner. Thank you. That was a very good answer.
Can I have one more?
Yeah, go ahead.
You might be a Jehovah's Witness if you wear a badge out in public and you're not a cop.
Well, I like all the answers. Hey, Dick, I see Dick Boogie's on here. Did he want to say something? What do you think of these answers, Dick?
Well, they don't have any Dunkin' Donuts up there in Canada. Maybe we can get a bottle of Scotch, McCullen's Scotch.
Hello.
Yeah.
I think we should do what would you do if Tom Morris in a liquor store?
Yeah. Jeez. Well, Canadian protester.
Thank you so much.
Well, you're very welcome. You're a hot dog. Don't give a change. Thank you. All right. That's Canadian protester. All right. Well, I hate that. I hate it when the program has to come to an end. We were having so much fun here tonight, right? And we're going to do this more often. We're going to play games like that. But anyways, we have got Joe and Fran, or if you prefer, Fran and Joe. They're coming up next, right here on Six Screens Tele Network. You don't want to go anywhere. They got a really good program prepared. That's what they told me. They got a number of people that will be calling in. So we're looking forward to it. And, friends, I want to tell you, I'm so happy. I'm so happy to see so many people as of late coming into the Six Screens. But like I tell you, don't send any money here. I still get emails. People want to send me money. Okay, we can all use money, right? But it's okay. I'm not a materialistic man. I got a business going. I'm doing okay. I'm not complaining. So if you really want to help me here at the Six Screens, I'm not asking for patrons. I'm not asking for commercials at this time. We're not doing any of that. What I want you guys to do for me, if you like what you heard here tonight, like us on Facebook. Would you do that for me? And that would mean more to me than you sending $1,000. I mean, like us on Facebook, share it on Facebook, and on YouTube. Why don't you subscribe? And that would make me a happy camper. Believe me, that's the adrenaline, that's the enthusiasm that's needed to keep the Six Screens up and running. So go ahead and do that for us.
Hey, Rick.
Yes, Dan.
Could I say something real quick?
Sure.
I just wanted to thank you for doing that tonight, because with what's going on in this world today, and we can take some time out and be with each other and laugh together. That's a good healing, a good just take our mind off of things. That was great that you did that tonight. Thank you.
Well, I had that in mind. I mean, many times you come on and, you know, it's all hardcore business, but we can lighten up a little bit and have a little bit of fun. Thank you, Dan, for sharing that. Well, listen, we have no Six Screen Sunday tomorrow. It'll be next week. We've got a lot of good things happening here at the Six Screen. Beginning next week, you'll be able to watch some of the broadcasts right on our Six Screens of the Watchtower website. We're in there revamping it all. It's under construction right now, but there's some stuff up. But we're making a whole new website. And if you're listening in, a lot of people call in, they send me an email, and they say, Rick, I can't find you on YouTube. I can't find you on Facebook. How do I watch the Six Screens program? Well, beginning next week, you'll be able to watch a couple of the programs, JW World News and Touched by the Tentacles of the Watchtower. You'll be able to watch those programs right. Well, I'm going to shut this off. Hold on. So anyways, yeah, coming next week, you'll be able to watch right off of our website, sixscreensofthewatchtower.com. If you go in there right now, it's under construction, a few things up, but we're revamping it. It's going to be we're making a whole new Six Screens here, friends. We're trying to make things a lot better, a lot easier for you guys to be able to watch some of these programs. But I'm so pleased with all the people that came in tonight and sending in their ideas on you. Might be a Jehovah's Witness here. It really, really makes me happy to see so many people that are connecting with each other in this community. I think it's a fantastic thing. So keep standing tall. Don't you ever give in, up or out. Keep waving that flag of victory. And the last one, leaving a watch up. Please turn off the new light. We've got Joe and Fran, the outside story, coming up next right here on the Six Screens telling it.